person sees all.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for stopping by. When there's fogs on the surface here, we can see, look, a whole bunch of things, the lights. Look at the fog intertwining with, yellow lights, green lights, red traffic lights right here on Earth. But who says that this is not the same thing we're looking at on the surface of the moon, just that thick smog or atmosphere that's over top of a colorful, active surface? Not ruling anything out, that's for sure. So let's look at something really serious on the surface, where the question mark is, the red one on the right over there, and all the lines that are going over top of that. Looks like an Olympics swimming pool, right? It's a lot bigger than that, that's for sure, but it's still there. That rectangle black object that I'm pointing to with the blue arrow, while the white one's pointing to everything else, is what we see also in sinus iridum, those rectangle shapes. Now this one I showed on the French channel. I've also showed you guys and gals before, but obviously when I change the image, like here, I love it. And it's turned even upside down so we can see another view, which is how, of course, supposedly the astronauts would enter. But look at all the connections. So all the lines that we're seeing near the Apollo 17 mission, near Mare Serenitatis, Mons Argeus, well, they're all communicating to this area, and they change directions at one point. So this is why I call it like a center point where all the lines meet up and connect and then veer off to other areas, whether they're, again, more lines side by side. So whether it be liquids that are in there, whether it be, fire, heat, a type of energy, or just actually people walking through them, or who knows, right? We really don't know what's up there, but you can't help but wonder exactly what I'm wondering when you see that. The proof is there. It's so concerning. Without having to get into great editing and detail and, working so hard to be able to try to prove to someone something's up there, because even a smaller telescope can see a reality. As you're going to see here, we're going to zoom in, not ridiculously, but close enough along Tycho crater. And I want to show you a few, we'll call it anomalies. It's not necessarily structuring, but I'm going to show you three objects. One of them is more symmetrical than the others, but it's the connections. There are certain craters around Tycho crater that are connected and in various ways really look like constructed objects. Now check it out. And don't forget, the optical illusion is bending things. Here's one, and here's the second one, but now go back and look at it. Okay, I know I'm pointing at so many things, but look at this one. Look at the symmetrical value of this one, the square shape, the long line going to and from objects on each ends, energy sources. We're seeing a pattern on the surface of how along the craters the construction is being formed. And, the white edges along the craters with those smokes and hazes over top of them, when you zoom in and try to alleviate the smoke or haze, well, goodness, you see that there's geometrical shapes. Some of these craters actually have what looks like constructed objects around them. Beautiful close-up around Copernicus, Tycho crater and Clavius crater. Smokes hazes that are hiding objects on the surface, and we can see lines like bridges that you'll see up on the top. Up on the top left there, if I can get an arrow up. No, it doesn't want to work. Okay, hang on. Yeah, structure on the right. There we go. A bridge, a straight path, but it goes right across the surface. This is the Apollo 17 supposed landing, Mons Argeas, with Posidonius over to the top, and the mysterious missing base that I'm going to get back to you guys about. Towers. That's definitely what we're looking at, my friends. We're looking at a tower here and a tower just across on the other side of the crater. So these massive, monolithic, towering, enormous, ginormous objects. Here's the other one right there. Sort of looks like a snake head, right? When you're looking at it on the surface. I wanted to show those again because I wasn't close enough, and I sort of like really getting in close to see them. They're pretty cool. Towering objects. They're very high off the surface. Now, what I don't get is that the Apennine Mountains, that are supposedly the highest object or point on the moon, don't look half as high as these objects. Why? That I don't know, but they definitely are towering. You could even see the shadow that's alongside of each of them, really showing us that these objects are pretty elevated off the surface. These lines that are connected, but let's look at it in detail. There's a break in this line at one point. So how would they get to the other side, right? Someone could say, watch this. There it is there, coming down. But we're going to go see a bit lower in the center. I don't know if you already see it. Just where the ridge cuts off, you'll see that there's like a cut off area. But it reaches out there. It reaches out all along the ridge to go around to meet the other end. So holy smokes, that means that this is an actual real connection, a real connected object on the surface. What do you think of this one? Talk about framing. Some of the most beautiful areas of proof that there is some type of construction on the surface of the moon. Hazes may be amongst them. I don't know. There's some blurriness around them all the time. Here's a close-up of it. A nice astonishing view of just objects rising and descending. They look like massive constructed objects, right? It looked like some type of, especially these. These are incredible here, just along the crater, right down there. And you see that they're so right here, like pipelines or whatever they may be. There's a lot here in this image. Check it out. You're going to be pretty surprised with this one. There's another platform with another area going down. But first, this one's crossing over top of that, those 3 or 4 lines. Again, very symmetrical, like making a square, a perfect square. We'll invert this photo later to get an even better image of the square. Over here, another one bending around the ridge. I want you to see how they're tucking along the surface and that it's really not pixelation. These lines are really hugging the surface. Here again, constructed, bridge, anything. Look how they are connected. Check it out. Massive, something coming out of the ground there, a square platform, a square indication, maybe a square boundary if you want, line at the end. So these are all like massive setups all around the craters that are popping up here and there, and some days we can see them, yeah, a lot better than some other days. Here we can see it pretty good. Also a square, right? There are lines, but you see transversal lines, meaning there are lines crossing like a cross, right? Going straight down, and there are lines crossing across that path. Other objects side by side, all these bumps on the surface. What are they? We don't see them very well. There's that square that I showed you again with that pipe or something going in the ground we can see. UFO was spraying on the surface of the moon. There's just nothing else that I can call them, and that's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at a UFO on the moon. And if I'm saying on the moon, well, it could be obviously in the sky over the moon, right? Because we're getting pretty close right now, let me tell you. But yeah, this is zoomed in close, and it's not between Earth and the moon. No, it's very small, very hard to see, slowed down and inverted, and you can see a smoke trail behind it. Structures just underneath Copernicus crater. Over top, left corner, that is Copernicus crater. There's also a pipe leading to this massive object, sort of like a square rim around it, with something in the center that looks a lot like a church bell lying down, right? If you want, it's massive. And there's the pipe going straight up to Copernicus crater. More proof again. Now here's something astonishing that never got more than a couple thousand views that I never understood. Flash of light on the surface. Okay, that's nothing. Watch this. Proof of a camouflage using vapor or smoke or some kind of a mist. A massive mist appears. It's massive, okay? A couple of kilometers. And underneath it, 3 lights appear. And look, they go out at the same time. They light up at the same time and they go out at the same time. Look, it's under a haze already. Okay, here's it. It's inverted now. So now you'll see the cloud, a dark outline. Watch this. It's incredible. Look how big it is. Like everything's blowing out of proportion, right? But look what happens at the same time, simultaneously, those lights light up. Thanks for reporting these offensive channels.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.